He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, always helping you as a consumer advocate, helping you be more informed as a consumer out there, helping you win in any marketplace. And we have a great lineup for you today. We're going to have real estate appraiser Ray Hall with our fishing report. We're going to have, of course, our producer Alex as well, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts, going to weigh in on some of the different things happening and current topics. And we have our first-time guest as well, Captain Lenny Crispinos, on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Captain Lenny we're going to talk about some bass fishing here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, freshwater fishing, and he is also a former Pasco deputy as well. I work for the Sheriff's Department up there. Before we do, we always like to feature our real estate listings live on air and help you maximize the exposure for our sellers. If you're thinking about selling property, we'd love to talk to you. If you're selling commercial, residential, vacant land, we would love to talk to you. You can reach out at consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors, contact information. Also, hit up the website and the hotline, 727-263-3707. Just call or text any questions, any introductions that you need. We'd love to introduce you to our attorneys, our CPAs, our financial advisors, home service providers, self-defense experts, and so many more associated with the program. 727-263-3707. And a couple of hot listings for this segment here. 3704 Burger Road in Lutz, Florida. We got a mansion for sale up in Lutz. Beautiful property, y'all. This is a 10,000 square foot property, 9 bedrooms, 12 baths. You got no CDD or HOA. Beautiful indoor pool area with a full bar and an oversized deck. Full tennis court, library, movie theater, sauna, 2 master suites, a grand balcony, and more. 3704 Burger Road, Lutz, Florida, Hillsborough County. One of our hot real estate listings from the Platinum MVP team and Livian Coastal Elite. 14 Baywood Drive. This is one of our Palm Harbor properties, and I love this home because you've got a gated community. You've got a private boat ramp, private boat ramp with bay access out into the Gulf of Mexico. 14 Baywood Drive, Palm Harbor, Florida, Pinellas County. This is 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, completely remodeled 3-story home, wood-burning fireplace in the living room, vaulted ceilings, pool and screen lanai, and a beautiful waterfront community. 14 Baywood Drive, Palm Harbor, Florida. And you can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. That's PlatinumCoastalElite.com. That's right. Shout out to all of our veterans, all of our troops out there, everybody supporting our military. We greatly appreciate that. And Innovative Solar as well. Quick shout out to our friends at InnovativeSolarFL.com. Solar partners on the Consumer Quarterback Show. InnovativeSolarFL.com. Solar's come down in pricing. You'll be surprised now with the technology, the better technology that you have today. InnovativeSolarFL.com, commercial or residential solar. All right, Captain Lenny, welcome in, sir.
Thanks, Brandon.
Hey, man, it was a great time on the water with you a while back, last week it was, and we got into a lot of bass there, so I appreciate you getting me on those. And give us a little background, a little bit of your background.
Yeah, I came here to Florida in 1984. I worked for the Sheriff's Office from 1990 up in Pasco to 2016. And I've been guiding on Lake Tarpon since 1988.
Wow, 1988, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's quite a tenure on Lake Tarpon there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've seen, what have you seen? What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen over the years from 88, 98, 08, 18? That's a long time.
Well, obviously population changed.
Yeah.
Lake Tarpon, when I first started fishing the lake, the whole south end was basically a working cattle farm.
Oh, wow.
And now it's Boot Ranch, which is, all housing, and it's definitely grown a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, and now, have you noticed a difference in the population of the fish in there?
The fishery still maintains it's still as good as it always was. FWC ranks Lake Tarpon in the top 10 every year as far as bass fisheries in the state of Florida.
Wow.
And considering you have over 2,000 lakes in the state, that's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah.
And we've been practicing catch and release on the lake for bass since the 1980s. So I think that's really contributed a lot to the quality of the fishery.
Right. Yeah. So now most people do that. I mean, do some people pull some out of
Yeah,
there?
I mean,
Yep.
it doesn't hurt the lake to take the smaller bass out, and Florida, I think, recognized that.
Yep.
So their limits have changed. They want you not to keep a fish over 16 inches. You're allowed one fish over 16 inches.
Okay.
Everything else is catch and release over 16 inches.
Yep.
And they want you to take some of the smaller fish out so that you don't have the competition for the bait with the bigger fish.
Got it.
Which are your breeding class of fish.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. And you, so you offer your services as a fishing guide and folks that are thinking about getting out on the water?
Right. What we do is we pretty much, as you've seen when we took you out, we provide everything. I mean, the boat, the tackle, drinks, whatever it takes for you to be successful and catch fish, we try to provide.
And the knowledge.
Yeah, and the knowledge.
That's the knowledge, right? I've lived on that lake for a long time, and I've gone out there, and I think a lot of it's, too, just the wrong time of day, but it's nice just to be out there. But, yeah, I mean, the amount of fish that I saw that just in the 4 hours that we were on the lake together versus, the 4 years that I've been fishing, a big difference there.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
yeah, exactly. And you got different strategies, too. Like you'll do some top fishing, some on the bottom.
Yeah, basically we let the fish dictate to us how we're going to fish them. During the wintertime we fish a lot of live bait. I fish a lot of wild shiners, and because that's what the fish are wanting that time of the year. And this time of the year, like the day we went out, we got out real early because the fish are on a schooling bite first thing in the morning sometimes.
Yep.
And we want to take advantage of that. So
Yeah.
we try to go ahead and follow the fish around.
Yeah, that's great. Getting out early, and it's something magical almost to just getting out early, and then the sun's not even up yet. You're out there with nature. You're connecting to nature and God. I mean, it's just such a nice feeling to be out there like that.
It is, and catching the fish is just the bonus part of it. I think that being in nature and, like you said, seeing it, the day wake up to you, the light, sun coming up.
Yep.
All of that stuff, I think, really contributes to the fishing trip.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big part of it, man. I think that's a big part of it. Talk to me about the state of Florida, because you've also done a lot of fishing in other areas in the state, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've fished Okeechobee for years. I competed in a lot of tournaments throughout my, fishing career. I fished on Okeechobee, Kissimmee, the Harris Chain. A friend of mine actually has a lake over in Fort Meade that a couple of celebrities used to fish. Bill Dance, I think, fished there with Strike King, and he actually bought this lake about 2 years ago, and he's going to set that up for a private fishing lodge where you can go there and basically the lake is yours for the period of time that you're there.
That's
and
cool.
I'm fortunate for me. I have the opportunity to take people there also. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's definitely worth the drive.
You said that's Fort Meade?
Yes.
So was that like an hour and a half?
Yeah, about an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Depending on the traffic.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not.
Yeah. And so that lake is a private lake, and you had mentioned that your friend had purchased, I believe, and you said how big's the lake?
The lake's 45 acres. His property is about 95 acres.
Yeah.
So and it's just full of bass. I mean, it's an old phosphate pit.
Yeah.
Like all of those lakes in that area, they're all reclaimed phosphate pits.
Okay. And whenever they're mining the phosphate out, how does it become such a great fishing hole? Is there something to
it's
that?
so fertile. The ground is fertile, a lot of lime rock, and it allows the bait fish and the plankton to get a lot, healthier, and it allows the bass to grow at an extremely greater rate than anywhere else throughout the state of Florida.
Right.
Same thing happened over in Stick Marsh. A few years back, they impounded a place called Stick Marsh to hold fertilized water before it went into the St. Johns River Basin. And they noticed that the growth rate of the bass in that lake was extraordinary.
Wow.
And they opened it up to the fishery. FWC actually put something there, and they opened it up to the fishermen. And it was just spectacular for years. And now they just opened another part of that a couple of years ago called Headwaters of Stick Marsh, and that place is just off the chain also.
Wow, that's awesome. And where's that at?
That's over in Melbourne, Fellsmere area.
Okay.
Melbourne
area.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a drive from here. It's about 3 hours.
Got it. And if you just joined us, we're talking with Captain Lenny Crispino here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's got a guide service. He's a fishing captain, and he can get you on the fish for sure, get in that freshwater. Now, you strictly focus on the freshwater, right?
Yeah, I don't fish any saltwater. I was factory sponsored by Ranger Boats for a number of years, from 01 to 16, and I'd have a saltwater boat every other year. But honestly, bass is my passion.
Yeah.
I like the bass and I like the whitetail deer hunt, and those are my two passions, and that's what I kind of focus my energies to.
Yeah, that's fun. We were talking about it. I hadn't been deer hunting in a while. That's quite a setup you have there too. You were telling me about.
Yeah, it is.
That's cool. So I wanted to talk about Lake Okeechobee. You had mentioned Lake Okeechobee. First of all, do you know offhand how big that lake is?
I don't know how many thousands of acres it is, but it's huge.
It's in the thousands.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, like we leave Okatani, which is on the north end, and driving 60 miles an hour would take us an hour to hit the south end of the lake.
Wow.
So just to give you an idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big lake, and there's a lot of of course, good fish in there too.
Oh yeah, there is. I mean, it has its challenges there. I know they just had an algae bloom again, but still, a couple of tournaments that I've seen, and I haven't fished there in a couple of years now, but a couple of the tournaments I've seen, they're catching 30-pound stringers out of there for 5 fish.
Wow. And when you think about that, you mentioned the algae bloom. A lot of times, it seems like the farmers and the people rural that are providing the tomatoes, the vegetables, they're farming the land. It's like they get the bad rap when it ends up on Bay News 9 or whatnot. They start kind of pointing fingers. Do you kind of understand that dynamic maybe better than most? Like how that plays?
I do. To me, I look at it this way: farming's been going on down there for years.
Right.
The algae blooms are something new. So something's changed between what happened years ago and now.
Right.
What changed?
The flow of the water.
And believe me, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist.
Yeah.
I'm just, even from Lake Tarpon, I see little bits of changes in Lake Tarpon.
Right.
And what's changed?
Mm-hmm.
The population definitely changed. I mean,
right.
We've got a lot more people here, but
Yep.
something's changed. And like you said, flow of water,
yeah.
maybe not as much. Grasses are a great fertilizer. I mean, not a great fertilizer, a great filter.
Right.
So maybe we don't have as much vegetation filtering that water before it's hitting the lake.
Right. That's true.
I don't know. And same thing with the red tides. And again, I'm not a master or not a biologist.
Yeah.
But I know that something's just not right.
Well, it's interesting too. My Granny Evelyn, who's kind of in a home right now, it's sad to see. Kind of has memory loss and things like that. It's one of those sad parts of life that that circle of life that we have. But she was president of the state's Country Music Association, and she met John Anderson and Garth Brooks when he was first starting out, and she was so into the country music scene, and just a great, awesome lady and Christian lady, and but she, when I think about John Anderson, his song Seminole Wind. If most people recognize that song, they kind of know that song, one of his biggest hits. But the song goes into the different types of Indian reservations, and it goes into where he says they made their plans and they drained the land, how the glades are going dry. And I think there's a lot to that, right? Because there's a natural, especially looking at South Florida, if you look at it from a map. And, even a satellite map, one of those maps, right? Lake Okeechobee used to consistently overflow, and that's why you have Belglade, those areas down South Bay, being so rich in the soil. It's like that muck, right? And they're growing the crops, they're growing the sugar cane, all those different crops. But I think once you start changing Mother Nature's plan, and we had to do it in a sense for population growth, but that probably played into it.
I agree, completely. It seems like every time we touch something, we kind of mess it up.
Yeah. Human beings, that is, right? Yeah. That's why Elon's trying to get everybody to Mars, right? Yeah.
We'll mess that up, too, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. More with Captain Lenny Crispino here coming up. We're going to take a quick break, come back more with Captain Lenny Crispino, as well as we're going to have Alex Lima weigh in on some questions, too, on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Later on, we got Ray Hall Appraisals. We're going to touch with Ray on some of the latest statistics and what's really happening with the real estate market. More here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace here in Tampa Bay. And we always like to feature our real estate listings live on our program as part of our strategy to help sellers sell faster for more money. 605 Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. This is one of our beautiful properties. This is a single-family home that has just a gorgeous floor plan, open air concept floor plan, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2163 square feet on Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. Clearwater, Florida. Beautiful pool home with a screened-in pool and a nice sitting area in the back. Great opportunity to own real estate right here in Pinellas County. We also have another property listed here at 6101 34th Street West. This is a property that we've got listed through one of our associates with the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, almost 1,800 square feet. This one's in Bradenton, so part of our southern listening audience here. 6101 34th Street West, unit number 6H. This is a luxurious gated community of Vizcaya, almost 1,800 square foot, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, spacious living and dining room, cathedral ceilings, and a beautiful extended patio. You can see all of our real estate listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. That's PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
This is God's country.
I want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Replenish IV Solutions, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. I love going in and getting my vitamin infusion drip, something like the Myers cocktail, getting all the great nutrients and vitamins into my bloodstream directly. Replenish IV Solutions. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, we got Captain Lenny Crispinos in studio. He's got a guide service right here in Tampa Bay, and as we were talking, other areas across the country, Okeechobee and some other private lakes, and bound to put you on some fish. Father's Day is coming up, too. Families, get out there, father and son combos. I'm sure you do some of that from time to time.
Yeah, I have several people throughout the years that I've fished with father and son, and obviously having sons of my own, it's really a good experience to be out there with your son or daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. Special bonding time. That's right. And I got our co-host today, too, Alex Lima, in studio, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts. I know you like to get out there and go fishing sometimes, Alex.
I do, man. I love to go fishing. Actually, Lenny, I got a question for you. So with the exception of maybe like a handful of people, at some point in time, I would say, especially within the United States, everyone has thrown out a fishing line, right? Or they at least played that little game where you fish for the magnet fish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Right?
Yeah.
So everybody has experienced fishing in some shape, way, or form.
You would think so.
How do you go from being just like and some people love it. They're out there every week, whatever it may be. But how do you transition to becoming like a professional and getting sponsored and like making this like your lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of, it depends on the person, I guess. Like with me, I grew up fishing. I was 5 years old when my dad had his own boat, so from the time I could stand, I pretty much was fishing, and then I was a saltwater fisherman growing up. I grew up in New York, which is on the East Coast, in Atlantic Ocean, and we didn't have any lakes close to us. I lived outside the city, so I saltwater fished, and then my wife had a house in Pennsylvania, and I ended up fishing up there, caught a bass, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
And it just, when I came to Florida, I had no intention of becoming a fishing guide. I just wanted to fish. And I started fishing, and I was pretty decent at it, and people told me, hey, this is a way you could probably make a living.
Yeah.
And, I always knew that I had to do a full-time job, which obviously is why I took the job at the sheriff's office. But one thing the sheriff's office allowed me to do is work shift work, so I was able to fish during the day, and I got with the right people, and it just kind of festered into where it is now.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Great question.
But then to where you got to, like you said, you were sponsored by Ranger. Like,
yeah.
How did that come about?
See, when you're in that business and you're around the right people, like I owned a bait shop for a number of years. Also, believe it or not, I owned Tarpon Tom's Bait and Tackle for about 9 years, and it was right next to the Boat and Motor Superstore, which is a boat dealership.
Yep.
And I was running a Ranger, and the guy who owned the Boat and Motor Superstore, Brad Kenyon, was a good friend of mine. He said, "Hey, you want a new boat?" I said, yeah, but I don't want to spend money on one. And he said, well, maybe we can work something out. And then I ended up getting hooked up with Ranger and Mercury. And it just, like I said, it just kind of timing, being in the right place at the right time, putting your name out there. And, fortunately, I had the right people in the right places, and I was able to impress them enough, and it turned into what it is.
Yeah. I grew up in South Florida, so we had talked about, I grew up in a small town called LaBelle, just east of Fort Myers and then just west of Okeechobee. And Roland Martin's a big name down there.
Oh, yeah.
And my brother had dated his daughter at some point. But, yeah, that's a huge name in fishing, isn't it?
Very huge name in fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roland's actually still guiding on Stickmarsh.
Oh, really?
He's over 80 years old and still throwing a cast net and catching shiners and guiding people.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's awesome. That's a cool story. Yeah, and you look at guys like Bill Dance, and these he's branded. He's the one that wears that Tennessee hat, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it goes into that branding conversation, right?
Yeah. Orlando Wilson with the Atlanta Braves hat. It's just so many different people out there that just kind of, that's what you think of when you think of bass fishing.
Yeah. Now, these professional bass fishermen, they're on different tournaments every weekend, and they'll win some, lose some, but they can carry a full time, like a income from that?
Yeah, I think sponsorship, like Alex was saying earlier, is the biggest thing. I mean, if you get the sponsors and they're able to, let's face it, you're not going to win every tournament you fish.
Right.
And you still got to make a living.
Exactly.
So if you're traveling all over the country, you better be bringing in some money, and the sponsors definitely have helped that over the last few years, especially.
Right. Well, they'll give you a boat, but then they also give you a little stipend too.
Yeah, and also, you're selling product for them, you're doing seminars for them, so they're going to pay you to do all those different things.
Got it. That's pretty cool. We're talking with Captain Lenny Crispino here in Tampa Bay. He's your freshwater specialist, Captain Lenny Crispino's Guide Service. Lenny, do you have a website you want people to check out? Or?
Yeah, Captain Lenny Crispino's Guide Service, or you can go on www.captainlennycrispino, and you'll see my information there.
CaptainLennyCrispino.com?
Yep.
All right, that's awesome. So we got about a minute left here. Final thoughts or anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to cover? Yeah,
I mean, the biggest thing is, like you said, I mean, the future of our sport, as all sports, is the next generation.
Right.
So many kids are playing video games and doing things outside of the outdoors.
Yep.
It'd be nice to reel them back in, per se, and bring them fishing, get them out in the woods, get them to do the things that God's provided for us, nature.
That's right.
And I think that it makes a good bond for father son, daughter father.
Yeah.
It's a good family thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Get them off the video games out into nature and
exactly.
Yeah, get a little dirt in their hands and maybe bait a hook and have some fun, right?
Plus they can eat.
There you go. Yeah, they learn the true meaning of farm to table, right?
Exactly.
I mean, coming in from a lake to the table.
Exactly.
In some cases, yeah, that's great. Well, hey, I enjoyed spending some time with you, and I hope our listeners will take you up on that offer. Visit the website. Give me the website one more time.
Captain Lenny Crispino's Guide Service and www.captainlenny.com.
CaptainLenny.com.
Yes,
awesome.
Sir.
All right, good stuff. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, taking a quick break. Coming back, Ray Hall with Ray Hall Appraisals on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to dive deep into the market, the real estate market, residential, commercial, and also land sales. What's going on out there? What do the numbers look like? What do the statistics actually show? More with Ray Hall here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.